A Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition is still happening after all this time. I would say always, but I'm not Snape. But turn to page 394 because we have a ton of news to discuss. You could also check the video chapters for easy viewing. Also, I'm giving away a PlayStation 5 at 175k subscribers, so check that out and let's get started. So for a while now, there's been a lot of discussion about a Hogwarts Legacy DLC in the works. Late 2024, there was rumors about a Definitive Edition that is set to include new content, potentially 10 to 15 hours of it, and bundled as either a DLC for existing owners or packed into a brand new release, a definitive edition for new buyers. Now, the DLC is rumored to allegedly feature a new story quest, additional side content, side quests, new activities, outfits, and possibly exploring areas or tying up loose ends from the base game's plot to prepare us for Hogwarts Legacy 2. Now, the definitive edition is supposedly going to be a complete version of the game that will include the base game as well as the new DLC. Now, at this point, we don't have official confirmation that Hogwarts Legacy's definitive edition is real or this new DLC is happening, but as reported by multiple insiders like Insider Gaming and Jason Schreier, Avalanche Software with the help of Rocksteady Studios has been developing this new DLC and just overall definitive edition for quite a while at this point. And given all of the current happenings at WB Games, it totally makes sense for them to want to elevate the best-selling game of 2023 that sold 30 million copies. And not only is Hogwarts Legacy the best-selling game of 2023, but it's the best-selling WB game in like quite a while. So yeah, I would think a DLC or just this overall definitive edition is kind of a given at this point, but we do have some new details from Jason Schreier. He recently went on the Kinda Funny Games podcast and went over all the current happenings with Hogwarts Legacy as well as just WB as a whole. And boy, did it go over a bunch of interesting information, so strongly recommend watching the full podcast. Shout out to them. But in the podcast, Jason Schreier was talking about David Haddad, who is the former president of WB Interactive. Jason said that the only reason that David Haddad kind of survived 10 years is because of Hogwarts Legacy, and it came out and did such big numbers. And he said it was such an anomaly that it saved his job for a couple more years. He then went on to talk about just WB as an institution, and he said Warner Brothers as an institution is not interested in any new IP. They want to have their current game studios work on big franchises, superhero games, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and Mortal Kombat, which we just got confirmation that WB Montreal is currently pitching a Game of Thrones game, so that's pretty interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that on the channel. Jason then mentioned JB Perrette, the big boss of the games division, had been saying that they're going to focus on the big franchises. The main ones are Harry Potter, like I said, Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, and then DC, specifically Batman. And then he mentioned that Zaslav, as recently as a year ago, was saying Hogwarts Legacy, holy crap, this is the future. I think they're interested in doubling down on games and really see games as a place of growth. Jason Schreier said their strategy for that is to double down on the big franchises, which seems like a smart move. Later on in the podcast, he said Hogwarts Legacy was such an anomaly that if they're expecting all of their other games to hit that level, they're in for a rude awakening. To which Greg Miller followed up and said, even Hogwarts Legacy 2, there's no way that it meets those same level of expectations because the hunger for a new Harry Potter game is not there anymore. It's been satiated. To which Jason said, we'll see. Now, my take on it is this. Sure, Hogwarts Legacy 2 might not have the same critical success that Hogwarts Legacy had, mainly because Hogwarts Legacy was new, it's a fresh IP, it's the first Harry Potter game that we've had in a while. But if Hogwarts Legacy 2 is just as good, if not better than Hogwarts Legacy 1, then I could totally see them repeating the success. Like, straight up, Harry Potter is one of the biggest IPs ever, and with the Harry Potter TV show happening very soon, the hype and excitement for the Harry Potter franchise is only going to continue to go up. Not to mention, I think of Hogwarts Legacy like it's a franchise like Call of Duty, for instance. You know, there was COD 4, the release, it was a critical success, but they really saw major success with Modern Warfare 2, and so on and so forth with NW3 and Black Ops 1 and 2. Like, they only really went up for the most part. So if WB makes a franchise out of Hogwarts Legacy and they do it right, Hogwarts Legacy 2 could be even bigger of a success than Hogwarts Legacy 1. You've already got your established players who were already impressed with Hogwarts Legacy 1, and they will likely be repeat buyers for Hogwarts Legacy 2. See, I think it comes down to them just making a good game. If they make a good game that's not live service or has any microtransactions, then Hogwarts Legacy 2 could be just as big, if not bigger of a launch than Hogwarts Legacy 1. Another comparison would be like, you know, GTA 5 to GTA 6. I know that it's GTA and it's hard to compare the two, but like GTA 5 really was an anomaly, like straight up. Like, they were not expecting to have that big of success with GTA 5. They just happened to make a good game, be at the right place at the right time. So Hogwarts Legacy 2 could potentially do that. Again, they just have to make a good game. That's what it comes down to. Now, later on in the podcast, Jason Schreier was talking about the games as a service mandate that, according to Jason Schreier, the games as a service mandate started long before Zaslav and JB Perrette were talking about it. And he said this is more executives saying what shareholders want to hear, because if you look at their current slate of games, they're not games as a service. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is not going to be a games as a service. But this is where things get pretty interesting. According to Jason Schreier, he said, I've talked to executives there who talk about how they can envision a world where you're playing in Hogwarts with your friends. You can go hang out with your buddies in Hogwarts. You're all wizards together, taking classes together. They have these fantasies in their head about games as a service that might work. To which someone else on the podcast said, that sounds really good, but then I also think that like it could just be a Fortnite game mode, you know what I mean? And then Jason said, I can't imagine the number of times metaverse was thrown around at these meetings when you talk about going with your friends to classes at Hogwarts. That sounds like such a directive of we also need to be in this sphere. To which Greg Miller said, it's so sad, it's so funny. And Jason said, you could see that working, right? A Hogwarts MMO. He then said, I remember there were MUDs back in the day that were really incredibly popular. People role playing in the Hogwarts universe. It's an appealing proposition for a lot of people, I think. Which honestly, I think that's a good take. I think an MMO for Harry Potter could definitely work, but not in the way like a typical MMO would be, not like SWTOR or World of Warcraft. It would have to be more like 15 to 20 people in the game. But even then that seems a bit large. Like even if it's you with 3 other friends, that would be pretty awesome. Granted, it wouldn't be like a massive multiplayer online game, but it would just be a multiplayer Hogwarts game with you and your buddies inside of Hogwarts Castle. That I could see that working. Now later on in the podcast, around 50 minutes in, Jason Schreier said there's also, by the way, that Hogwarts Legacy Definitive Edition with DLC thing that is coming as well. So there are a couple things. So that's once again confirmation from Jason Schreier. He did a report not too long ago that we covered about him saying that a definitive edition is still happening with DLC that's being co-developed with Rocksteady Studios. Like we've already heard this multiple times. He's reconfirming it in this podcast. So at least nothing has changed between then and now. So now this brings us to the biggest question, and that is, when could this DLC or definitive edition still happen? Like, when is the release going to be if we actually are going to get it? If you guys remember, right back in February of 2023, Avalanche said that they had no plans for post-launch content DLC or anything like that. They were instead going to focus on the game's core release and then later porting it to other platforms like the Nintendo Switch. Now, it is possible that that stance could have changed, which it definitely seems like it's changed, especially after now that the game is on every platform. It's on Switch, it's on pretty much everything. And as of now, we're still kind of in a holding pattern. The rumors are really plausible, and it does sound like the popularity is still there for a DLC and just overall definitive edition. And given the current, happenings with WB Games, it certainly sounds like that they want to get something else Hogwarts as soon as possible to kind of build on the success of the original release. Like if they give a story DLC, guaranteed there's going to be quite a few sales of people buying the DLC just to experience the new content. Like that's pretty much a guarantee. Now, as for when something like this could be announced, my best guess would be sometime this, summer. I think if 2025 is still the release date for this DLC or the definitive edition, then I think a summer reveal would be the best case scenario, sometime around the Summer Game Fest. Perhaps they do it at a PlayStation showcase that is, currently rumored for this summer. Now, it could be that rather than us getting like a fully sized DLC or, a mid-sized DLC, that they could just decide to, repackage Hogwarts Legacy, make some minor adjustments rather than doing a full-blown story expansion. Like there is plenty of story that they could tell, but it's hard saying what they're going to do. But from everything that we've heard from all of the leaks and rumors and insiders and, the fact that apparently Rocksteady is working on it with Avalanche, it certainly seems like this DLC is real. But without a solid announcement, it's just hard saying if it's real or not. If it is real, then I would say our best release would be sometime in the winter. Another scenario would be like the fall. Maybe they just release it in September as like kind of a back to Hogwarts celebration. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments section. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Are you excited for this DLC? Do you think it's real? Let me know down below. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.